Mercury Marine 4-stroke, 200 horsepower and above, oil change. This is part 1 of the 100-hour service. Anybody can do it. Save yourself a bunch of money. Let's get started. All right. Obviously, you got to take the engine cowling off. Pretty much push down on that little trap door. Plain and simple. Press this little red button here. The handle comes up and it unlocks everything. Hard to do with the camera in the way, but we'll get it done. Now, if you notice right here, there's information on the oil type, how to check the dipstick. So that information's all right there for you. It should be on yours too. Before you start, you want to tilt the motor all the way up and let it sit, and I'll tell you why. Right here's the oil filter. This is a little drain for this little collection pan. If you don't get the oil out of the filter, it'll fill in there and it'll come draining out here. I mean, you can hook a hose up to it and whatever, but I would rather not have to deal with that and have minimal mess to clean up. So we're going to do that right now. We'll let it sit, and while it's resting for about, 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to gather all the tools that we need, and we'll go from there. All right, we let the motor sit for about, in the utmost position, like 10 minutes. Let's go over the tools you're going to need. You're going to need a piece of hose. This is 1/2 inch. It's a little tight. I believe a regular piece of garden hose will work. So if you got some garden hose laying around the house that's bad, cut a piece off. You should be good. We got a 5/8 inch socket ratchet I'm using, and a filter wrench. Pretty simple stuff. Stuff most do-it-yourselfers will have. Do-it-yourselfers will have, and a roll of paper towels. As far as the parts you need, obviously you need an oil filter, oil. My application calls for 4-stroke 10W30. I'm using the Mercury stuff. I'll switch over to synthetic after I've done a few of these. And I got one of these nice big filters. You don't need this. I don't recall. I think I got this at Walmart. I think it'd be pretty nice because the 1 gallon sit right in there. Be careful. This only takes 7 quarts. So that's 1 3/4 gallons. I got 2 gallons here, so I'll have to watch when I'm adding the second one. So let me move the camera and we'll get started. I'll show you guys what to do. Oh, and don't forget, you're going to need something to drain the oil into, something that you can take and get the oil recycled in. Definitely take it to get recycled. All right, folks, let's get started. You'll notice there's a little fitting right here on the the starboard side of the motor. What you want to do is you want to break it free with your ratchet or your wrench, whatever you seem to be using. You'll notice it's not very tight to begin with. Just crack it loose real quick. Then you get your hose. I cut this hose to length so it works out best. I'll stick this in the container. I have, here, let me show you this container real quick. I have one of these containers. These hold 3 gallons. Like I said, this takes 7 quarts, which is almost 2 gallons of oil. So this container will be great for taking the used motor oil and the used gear oil into recycled. So I don't know what the heck that was, but we're going to continue. Once you get it cracked open, turn the hose. It'll turn the fitting. Make sure you got the end of the hose in your container. It's like two and a half turns. So I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera, but the oil is draining. So we're going to let it drain. All right, that took like a whole 5 minutes to do. Didn't take long at all. It drained. I like these clear hoses because I can tell when it's done without having to lift the hose out. So what we'll do is we will pull this. Actually, don't do this the wrong way. I've done this before. You want to close this by just turning the whole hose and just getting it just finger tight. It should be good. And you pull this off Make it so it's not dripping all over the place. Snug this down. Not real tight, just tight enough. You don't want to drip it, that's all you got to do. And you just get a rag, wipe it clean, and we'll move on to the filter. Alright folks, now we're around to this filter side of the motor. I got my filter wrench, I got my filter. What I'm going to do is, it's kind of tight quarters, and I'd rather you see what I'm doing than look at me. This filter right here came pre-lubricated, but I'm still going to put a little oil on the seal. It don't take much, just enough to get it wet. Alright, so the filter is ready to go. I'll set this over here so I can reach it. Now, before we move on, I want you guys to notice this little yellow cap. It pulls out, it doesn't unscrew. Basically, this is the cap for the little oil pan that's below the filter. So right here, if there's any left over in there, it'll drip down into there. Now, this will fit the same size hose that we used for the oil drain. So I'm going to put the piece I cut off on there, and if it starts dripping, I can put my container under it. But hopefully, from tilting the motor forward, we're not going to have much. So. And righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Alright, I got her loose. Let's get her loosened up and off of here. Alright, that came off pretty easy. I'm inspecting it. Doesn't look like there's any damage or anything on it, so that's good. I pre-lubed the other one like I showed you guys. And this one, if I can see, this camera's getting in the way a little bit. There it is. Do not cross your threads. So be very gentle putting it back on. Spins right on. I got her hand snug, and I really shouldn't do this. Hand snug's usually enough, but this is for peace of mind. Like 1/8 of a turn, maybe even less. Nothing dripped because I tilted the motor forward at the beginning. Saved me a lot of headache. Saved me from dripping all over the river too. So we got this to this. Alright, next step, add the oil. Back in the boat, we're up on top here. This is the dipstick, just so you know. It's more like a cable. Here's the oil fill. Take that out. Now that funnel I showed you earlier was too big at the mouth, so I got another one that I use here in the house. We'll use this. Got it ready to go. I was hoping to be able to do this a little easier than this, but sometimes you got to make do. So we got that ready to go. We got paper towels in case of any accident. Like I was saying, this takes 7 quarts. I don't know. I'm not going to make you guys watch me pour out 7 quarts, but you get the idea. Don't rush it. It's got to go into the motor. Let it do its thing. Just going to take a while, so put the cap back on. All right, I'm going to give it a few minutes to settle. I have to still do a couple of things to the motor. Well, not the motor. I need to do the gear case oil, and I want to do the fuel filter. That's all part of the 100-hour service. We'll let the oil settle. We'll do a quick check on the dipstick and see where we're at. Optimally, you're going to want to run the motor, let it get warmed up, get the oil filter filled up with oil, and then check the level. But we're going to do it This way, make sure I have enough. I got 7 quarts in there. Make sure it didn't overfill by any chance. It should be fine. And we'll go from there. All right, it's been about 5 minutes. We're going to do a quick check on the dipstick. This is actually a cable. You want to check where the oil comes down on the ball. It should be somewhere in the middle. Right here, I'm getting oil right there. Once the filter takes it up, we should be good to go. Yep. Keep everything clean. That's it, folks. Change the oil in this bad boy. As you can see, it's simple. There ain't nothing to it. You can do it. Save yourself a ton of money. You're not having to wait to get into a marina. Marinas are great. They'll take good care of you, but they're taking good care of a lot of people, so there's always a big, long wait. And they do charge. They got to pay their people justly so. If you can, rightfully so. If you can do it yourself, do it yourself. I've always been that kind of person. For the rest of the 100-hour service, inspect the plugs. Check the diodes. I'm a freshwater fisherman, never in the saltwater. I took a quick look at them. They look good. The plugs, I did. That's fine. You guys can figure that out. It's not too bad. What's next is going to be the fuel filter and then the gear oil on the lower end. So I'm going to make videos for each one of those. I'm going to make a playlist. So you guys, if you need that stuff, it'll be there for you on the channel. I'll put a link to the playlist somewhere up here on top or down below in the description. Thanks for watching. All the links to everything I bought are down in the description. If you guys want to help the channel out, click on those links. Buy what you need. I appreciate it. So we'll see you in the next video.